Welcome to One Girl in All the World, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer rewatch podcast where we recap each episode in order and discuss. I'm Ashley, Buffy superfan.
Kimmy, Buffy newbie.
You can find us on all major podcast apps, YouTube, and Instagram with new episodes on Tuesdays. So we get our second Halloween episode.
And it's similar to the last Halloween episode, kind of. Like conquering your fears and stuff.
Mm-hmm. It has, like, for me, there's, like, the fake stuff becoming real, which is, like, their costumes, kind of similar to that. But it's also, like, very similar to Nightmares.
Oh, wait, that's the episode I'm thinking of. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of, like, their nightmares are their fears, so these are, like, new fears. That was, like, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So they have some new, more adult fears instead of, like, just clowns.
No.
So yeah. What did you think about this episode?
I thought it was really good, actually. I did like it. I love a good Halloween episode. Like, I love Halloween, so I liked all the Halloween things. And it was just, like, it was interesting to, like, build the haunted house and have it basically kind of come alive. And, yeah. And the ending was funny, so.
Very Buffy ending. Yeah, I did like the whole, like, haunted house.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Twist on it.
There was a lot of humor in the episode, too. Like, a lot of funny lines. Like, I had a hard time picking my favorite line, actually. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So, we are talking about fear itself, which is obviously, well, maybe obviously to some, a reference to FDR's 1933 speech, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself."
Oh.
So that's where the title comes from.
Okay.
And Fear itself originally aired October 26, 1999, written by David Fury and directed by Tucker Gates. And the synopsis is, Buffy reluctantly agrees to join Willow, Oz, and Xander at a Halloween party where they stumble into a real-life house of horrors masquerading as an innocuous fraternity. Meanwhile, Giles is called upon to help out the college crowd when all he wants to do is get into the spirit of the holiday.
I thought that was really cute, too.
Yeah, Giles is
trying to be a normal human now.
Yeah, he's like, now I can, like, enjoy these kind of things.
That's right, exactly. I think it's funny. I like Giles now.
He's redeemed himself.
I mean, I liked him before. Yes, he had, everybody in this show has had their issues.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah. Like, there's nobody that's, like...
Yeah.
There's nobody that is... I want to say flawless, but that's not even the word I'm looking for. That is, everybody's got their human side.
Yes.
Like, they make mistakes. Mm-hmm. They, do the wrong thing.
Perfectly imperfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah. So there's nobody that I can I can ever think of in this show that escapes that. Maybe this one person that we haven't met yet. But
interesting. Okay.
That I can think of off the top of my head. Anyway, so we get a previously on. We just get, like, the Parker fallout story.
Yeah, we hate him.
Yes, still not a fan of Parker.
No.
And kind of get updated a little bit on Anya and Xander. So that they slept together and kind of left things in an awkward, sad place.
Also interesting to watch their situationship.
Situationship, yes. Very good. So we start out in Xander's basement, and so it's Willow, Oz, Xander, and Buffy, and they're carving pumpkins for
everybody but Buffy is carving pumpkins.
Everybody but Buffy. Yeah, and she has this she's sad. Like, everyone else is, like, getting involved in it and, like, critiquing their
exciting
stuff. Yeah, and Buffy's just kind of just playing with the innards of a pumpkin.
Yeah.
And Xander's like, okay, we're gonna, like, all come over and watch a movie tomorrow, or, like, Halloween. I don't know if he does tomorrow, but on Halloween. And they're kind of like, oh, actually, we're going to a party at, like, a frat house. And he's like, oh, okay, I didn't know about that. Obviously, for Xander in this episode, he's very, like, cognizant and conscious of the fact that he's not in college. They do things that he's just not a part of or doesn't know about. So he's like, oh, I didn't know there was a party. And Willow says, oh, we didn't tell you? So there's, like, that. He's feeling very disconnected, which...
There's, like a... What's that word? There's, like, a space between them now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they're going through this whole experience of growing up that he's just not a part of.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a part of it, but he's They're going it together, and he's kind of just, like, tagging along here and there.
Yeah, I mean, it is really different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they invite him to the party.
Which
and
is cool.
He's like, yeah, sure. Only because I have nothing else to do. Only because I definitely don't have anything else to do.
He's honest. I like that.
Yeah, he is. Xander has been okay this season.
Yeah, he has.
Except for that weird Buffy. Except for that weird line. One weird line. For Xander, this is really good. There's a bug in here. Yeah. Go away. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so they said there's going to be a Halloween maze. So basically, at the frat house, you have to like go through the maze to get to the party at the end. So it's kind of like like a haunted house that the fraternity is going to put together to get to a party at the end.
I thought that sounded cool. I like it.
I'm
here
cool.
for it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does sound cool. So Buffy's just like, yeah, it sounds good, but I'm tired. I'm just going to go home. So she didn't even touch her pumpkin.
Well, okay.
And she's definitely down in the dumps.
I'm wondering if this is something you noticed, because I thought this was funny and it seemed like an Ashley moment to me, where she'd been playing with the pumpkin innards and then all of a sudden she just gets up to leave and her hands are perfectly clean.
Oh, I know, I didn't.
I was like, she didn't wash them or anything. They're just perfectly clean hands.
No, she just wiped them all over Xander's disgusting bed, I guess.
Maybe.
She's like, he won't notice. These are disgusting. I should have probably even been laying on them. I mean, who knows if he's washed the sheets since him and Anya have been in there.
Ew, gross. Yeah, boys don't tend to wash sheets.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'm sure she probably, the pumpkin innards should be the least of her concerns, for sure. Laying on that bed.
So she didn't even touch her pumpkin. And Willow's like, it's a freak with no face.
Yeah. Yeah, that was sad. Buffy's definitely down in the dumps still.
Yeah.
So we see her going home, like walking kind of like slowly down the street. It's dark. And this air quotes demon jumps out at her. And of course she punches him in the face.
I mean, obviously, yes.
And he's like, the demon falls back and pulls a mask off, and it's a guy dressing up for Halloween. He's like, what's your problem, lady? You just jumped out at a woman alone in the dark.
You jumped at her.
And you're like, what's wrong with her?
And it's not Halloween night, so weirdo.
You're lucky that's all you got, buddy.
And then she apologized, right?
Yeah, he's like, what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? And she's like, that's what I'd like to know.
Yeah, because it's all about Parker still. Like, why, I know, there's nothing wrong with me that Parker doesn't want me.
Rejection is such a harsh sting.
Yeah. So this guy's kind of like, what's your problem? I was like, what's your problem? You jump out at a woman who's alone in the dark, you're going to get a face full of fist, at the least. Yeah, so she's kind of just like, oh, well, yeah, what's wrong with me? So we go to the credits and we come back and they're in the cafeteria. And Willow is talking about how she's been practicing magic, which we've seen bits and,
Her little twirly pencil deal.
Yeah, like we're seeing a little bit more explore that.
More levitating.
Yeah, and she says that she's kind of stalling.
She's plateauing.
She's kind of not mastered, but she's kind of went to a certain level, and if she goes any higher, it's getting into a little bit more serious type of things. And they meet up with Oz, and Oz is actually concerned about this. He's concerned about that she could get hurt doing the magic.
Yep. Which
I thought was really sweet. But he says, whatever you decide, I'll still support you, but I do worry that something could happen. You could be hurt. And Buffy and Willow do really appreciate that he's worried about her. So it's like a nice little moment.
It's cute. Yeah.
And he does say, like, I know what it's like to tap into something that you can't control, a power that you can't control. Like when
it's scary.
When he turns into a werewolf. Mm-hmm. So, he doesn't want her to tap into something that could hurt her. Yep. So that's a really nice little moment between Willow and Oz. Buffy sees Parker laughing at a table with some people. And just says she forgot to be hungry, and is going to leave. But
she bails.
Willow chases her out of the hallway and says, "Dude, don't forget about the party." And Buffy's like, "I don't even know if I can go. Like, Giles might want me to patrol, but I'll check with him." Like, she's just using it as an excuse.
Of course,
running into him. She's not up for it.
Willow's trying to tell her that she can't run forever. Like, what are you going to do? Every time you see him, just run the other way? That's going to get old fast.
She's like, right now, I'm just not dealing. I'm taking a hiatus from dealing with life.
Mm.
So she goes to Giles' house. And he opens the door. And this is the Fiesta Giles. He's got a sombrero on, everything.
The first costume that I got wrong.
Mm-hmm. And, he's got a big bowl of candy. He's like, happy Halloween. Oh, it's you.
He has embraced Halloween.
He's getting very festive in his bachelor unemployed life. So, and she is shocked and uncomfortable with this new Giles. And she's trying to talk to him about, do I need to patrolling and everything? She's like, can you take that off? She cannot take him seriously and talk to him with the sombrero on. So he takes it off, and he's like, you know the drill, Buffy. Even though something seems to happen on every Halloween, they always say, like, the demons and vampires and everything, they just think it's, like, cliche to go out and do stuff, make a mischief on Halloween, so there's really no point in patrolling.
Might as well just stay home.
Yeah.
Have fun.
So at the frat house, we see that the frat guys, the brothers or whatever, are trying to are setting up for the party.
Well, they're coming in with kegs by the gallon. Wait, is it gallon? I don't know. There. Okay. Huge kegs.
I mean, a keg is definitely bigger than a gallon. There's probably, I don't know how many gallons are in a keg.
I've never actually seen a keg in real life.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sure I have, but I don't even know.
I had a very boring existence in university.
I never saw one in college. Or like, I never saw one. Well, that's not true. My first college, like my traditional university I went to, I never saw one. But after that, I did. Like when I moved to a different school. But anyway, so they're putting up like scary decorations.
They're talking about how Halloween is all about getting laid.
Yeah, they just want to scare the girls into like sleeping with them.
That's gross. Yep.
And one of the guys, he actually was a Power Ranger. I think he was the Red Power Ranger. That black guy.
Really? Yeah. That's cool. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure. So yeah, he finds a book and shows it to Josh, which is like the white guy. Like, oh, I know you wanted to find some mystical symbol to like put on the floor, and he found this book and he shows a symbol. And that book is an actual book. The outside, like the jacket, is an actual book. It's that edition is 1963. Picture Museum of Sorcery, Magic, and Alchemy by Emily Gregot-de-Giorvi. It's definitely French. So I should have probably had you look at this. But yeah, and then the inside of the book is like changed to be like a prop. But that's like the outside book. It's a real book.
Okay, cool.
And so yeah, so he shows this symbol that looks pretty creepy. So maybe they can use that to decorate.
Yeah.
So we're back in Xander's basement. He's getting ready to leave, and Anya just shows up without knocking. And she's kind of annoyed that he hasn't called.
Of course she is.
And he's all like, I thought you were over me.
Over me.
You just accepted that? You just said it was okay. Like,
He's not for the games.
No, he's like, when someone says something, I believe them.
Which, to be honest, Xander would actually, in that sense, be a good guy to date. Because he's like, he's not going to play games. He's just going to be like, okay, this is what it is.
Yeah, he's straightforward with it. And she is like not giving this up. She's like still like, didn't get over him obviously from the banging.
Nope.
The exorcism banging didn't work. So she's still into him. And he says, you know what, it wasn't bad seeing you, like, but maybe you can go to, he invites her to the party.
Yeah, I thought this was actually really nice of him.
Yeah, and he tells her, but she needs to find a scary costume.
Yeah.
Which we'll come back to that.
I mean, but what I think is funny is that she clearly wants him and is attracted to him and wants a relationship with him, but also she has to talk down to him. She's like, she doesn't even know, they don't have that much in common. Oh no, she's talking about his friends. She's like, I don't know why you want to hang out with them. You guys don't have much in common. They're in college. They don't live at home. And then he invites her to the party. Like, ouch.
Yeah, I do agree though that I think she does have to talk down to him because like she's been alive a long time. A very long time. And he is like a fetus compared to her.
Yeah.
Age-wise. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I feel like sometimes she has to be like, why don't you know these things? Or why don't you just understand this? But that's just probably the ender anyway. Even with somebody 2 months older than him. But so in psych class, Buffy obviously missed class because of, I don't know, being upset about Parker. She comes in to ask Professor Walsh for the assignments. And it's kind of brutal. Because Professor Walsh says, you look okay. Doesn't look, you were like in a life-threatening accident, so if you miss another one, you're kicked out of class.
Yeah. This is real university, though. Is like my teachers were like this. Were yours like that?
I don't really recall ever having an experience like this.
I mean, I didn't, but I remember them being to other students like that.
Yeah, I'd never witnessed it. I'm sure it happened, but I don't have any like clear memories of it. Just that's crazy.
I've seen those exact conversations.
Oof. Scary. Yeah, and so she leaves, and Riley, we see Riley again, Riley the TA.
Right. I wrote TA because I couldn't remember his name.
Yeah, Riley. Okay. Gives her the kind of says, like, yeah, like, she's serious, she will kick you out. Like, I noticed, like, you haven't been raising your hand and all of this. But he gives her the assignments, and she says she'll do them that night. And he says, well, it's Halloween, you're not going to go out and
have fun.
He's like, it's not a night for responsibility tonight. Like, you should go out and have fun. And he kind of gives her a pep talk. And she actually thanks him, like, because she's actually going to go out and try to have fun instead of her plans of just doing homework.
That was nice of him to do that. I'm wondering if they're foreshadowing something there.
Like those two?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Zip it. So the frat house, they in the previous scene at the frat house, they said, "Oh, this music's like the sound system's really bad. Let's get Oz out here to like we can borrow his sound system." So Oz is there setting everything up. They're in the attic. One of the guys is painting the symbol on the ground, and Xander is also there helping Oz set everything up. And Oz, there was something up with the speaker, so he's trying to like fix a wire or something, and he cuts himself.
Trim it.
Yeah. He cuts himself, and the blood gets on the symbol. And we see, like, a plastic fake spider that's in the symbol. And when his blood touches it, it kind of, like, something happens, and that we see that plastic spider come to life and turns into, like, a tarantula.
Yeah, creepy.
And just crawls away.
Creepy.
But nobody notices that.
Nope.
So they have no idea anything's amiss. So at Buffy's house, Joyce is altering Buffy's Little Red Riding Hood cloak that she wore, like...
Again,
maybe
I was
like
wrong
a tween.
with the costumes.
You said cowboy and witch. Well, we haven't gotten to Willow yet. Well, you have seen it, but we haven't gotten to Willow yet. So this is the first time we've seen... No, it isn't. We saw Joyce. We've seen Joyce once before.
This is a longer scene with Joyce, I feel like.
Yeah, so she kind of talks about how, like, her dad... Joyce talks about how Buffy's dad loved taking her out trick-or-treating, and Buffy's like, well, like, he loves spending time with you. And she's like, not enough, because, like, where is he now? So it just kind of, like, compounded for her, like, how men in her life are just abandoning her in her mind. Her dad, Angel, Parker. Every time she puts herself out there emotionally, she gets hurt. And her mom can relate to that because her dad...
left her.
And she said I've come a long way, like, to making friends and, like, being able to be emotionally vulnerable. Like, so don't be scared of doing that. So it was a nice little moment between them where, they can relate on this, and her mom's trying to give her some advice. Yeah,
and I like how her mom talks about friends and, like, interests and things like that, and not necessarily just about, like, finding another person to be with. Like,
yeah, because Joyce hasn't.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Ted was the last person.
yeah, and that worked out so well.
Yeah.
So just, like, be comfortable with yourself and be comfortable with your friends and just enjoy that.
Yeah, and like you said, it's not
That's
just
a really good message.
Trying to find a romantic partner and be vulnerable with them. Like, putting yourself out there anyway.
Be your own partner.
Other ways. Yeah. And she says, you're going to be fine. You have Mr. Giles and your friends and all this stuff. Like, you have a lot of support and people that care about you. So that was a nice scene.
More pep talks.
Yes. So we have this really random scene where we're in Buffy's dorm and Willow's getting ready. And she says, oh, Buffy's not here yet. I guess she'll meet us there or something. And then she just walks out of the dorm room down the hall, and everybody's, like, dressed up, and, like, somebody tries to invite her in to, like, their party. She's like, oh, it's okay. Maybe I'll stop by later. And then that's it. Like, I don't really know. Maybe they added it for time because the episode was too short because they really didn't, unless I'm missing something, didn't seem to add anything to the episode.
I wrote Axe Murder Parker, and Willow said that's Halloween-y.
Yeah, they do say, like, if Parker's there, we'll just, like, kill him or something. I just don't really get, like, the point of the scene, what it added. But, yes, that frat house, the party's already going, and there's people already in the attic that have went through the maze. And that guy, Josh, is putting a girl's hand into, like, the peeled grapes bowl.
Eyeball bowl.
Oh, their eyeballs. I mean, we did that in elementary school. I don't know why they would do that at our elementary school, like, our elementary school, like, Halloween parties. They'd be like, ooh, it's worms, or, ooh, it's this. Like, put your hand in it. Like, the room moms would, like, come in and, like, do these kind of things for the kids. So I'm like, okay, this is, like, a college thing. But the difference here is that when she opens her eyes and she's blindfolded, there is a bowl full of eyeballs.
Yeah, real ones.
Real. And it has like the whole like thing behind it, whatever that is.
The vein. Mm-hmm.
Like the huge, so nasty. So of course she starts screaming. So outside, the gang is going to meet up. Buffy is there first, and Xander finds her. He's dressed as James Bond. Because even though he had a good
Red Riding Hood,
he had a pretty good costume. If you were going to become your costume again, I mean, I guess being like a soldier it worked out well for them. Like it was a good thing that he had that. Mm-hmm. So he's making sure again that if they turn into their costumes, he's going to also have another cool costume, a useful costume. So he's a spy. And Willow is Joan of Arc. Because she said they both almost got, she almost got burned at the stake. Joan of Arc did get burned at the stake. So
and they have a close relationship with God, and Oz is God. And he's just wearing a t-shirt that has a name tag on it that says God.
Hello, my name is God. Which is the most Oz thing I've ever seen in the show.
That was really funny.
Yeah. And Xander's like, why didn't I think of that? I had to put a deposit down for this tux, and I could have just bought a name tag. So he also says that Anya is going to meet them later at the party because she was having trouble finding a costume. And Buffy definitely feels fifth wheelie here. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to be like, no, don't be silly. But, she feels left out because everybody else is like Brianna plus one kind of. And then we see those military guys again. They step out in front of them of the bushes.
But we just see them and then that's it though for like 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. But what's going on with that? I thought we were going to see more of them, and then we did not.
I mean, obviously, eventually we're going to find out what's going on. Because it's, there's too many, breadcrumbs with them. But yeah, she's like, good costume, guys. And they don't talk, and they just kind of slink around. They slink out. But we know it's not a costume, because we've seen them a few times now. Yeah. Twice. This is the third time we've seen them. Mm-hmm. And,
3 out of 4 episodes.
They feel like, they feel like they can, like, hide in plain sight because it's Halloween. So nobody realizes that it's not Halloween.
That's fair.
So yeah, they, like, slink off, and everybody, like, notices them and thinks that's weird, and then that's kind of put to bed. At the frat house, it is chaos. Everybody's freaking out, screaming. There's, like, a lot of, like, flashing lights. So you get, like, little tiny bits of, like, just there's blood, and, like, everyone is just panicking.
Yep.
And the Josh guy runs downstairs. He falls down the stairs, and he breaks his neck.
And then you can hear this creepy voice saying, "Release me.
Release me. No, thank you." So outside, so the gang comes in. They're all alone in like the foyer.
That's kind quiet of for a party.
Nobody's there. Nobody's there, and there's like a fake decoration head, like severed head in a bowl, and there's a lot of cobwebs. And Willow walks into the cobwebs and is like, freaks out. And she's like, and Oz says, those might be decoration, might not be, because those frat boys only like to clean. Wait, true. And a door flies open, and a fake plastic skeleton with a knife pops out, like it's on some kind of like thing that like propels it out of the closet. And Xander
freaks me out.
Definitely scares Xander. And then there's a spider on Willow's shoulder, a tarantula, probably, a real one. Mm-hmm. And they like quickly get it off of her, and they're all like kind of freak out, and they're like, okay, let's just get to the party. So they keep walking.
Well, Buffy finds real blood, right?
Yeah. They keep walking, and Oz is confused because he's like, obviously Oz knows this like building. Yeah, no one else has ever been in there before that we know of. And he's like, hey, there used to be like windows in this room. Like there's supposed to be windows here. Like he's confused. And then Buffy does like find a puddle of blood on the floor, and she's like can tell it's real blood. And then they start hearing this like squeaking noise, and nobody knows what it is.
Oh God!
And they look up, and the ceiling is full of bats.
That was creepy. That creeped me out.
Really?
Yeah,
and
I don't.
All the bats come down, and there's like the whole like attacking them basically. And when they clear off, Oz picks one up, and it's rubber.
Yeah, weird. So it like they came to life and then reverted back to whatever they were before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they hear the release me again, and they're like, oh no, this is not good. So outside we see Anya coming to the party dressed as a bunny.
Oh, so scary.
Yeah. She's scared of bunnies. So this is like genuinely terrifying costume to her. Okay, has a phobia of bunnies, which we will not, and not the last time we will hear about this.
Wow.
So Anya goes up to the door where the door should be, and there's no door. Siding, like there's no door there. And she's like, what the hell? So she's like, I don't know how to get in. So she like backs up and she sees in a window up like on the second floor, this woman like banging on the window, like screaming for help, basically. And the house just kind of envelops the window.
Like shuttering up.
Yeah. The bricks and everything just kind of like fold over and like the window is gone, which was pretty creepy. You know, actually just like closing like that was like really creepy.
Yeah, because like what happens to her?
Yeah. So inside, they're walking around some more. They get back to like where they came in, and the stairs and the front door are gone. So they're trapped in there.
And they're like walking in a circle.
Yeah, it's just very confusing. It is a maze, and like we don't even know. Like we can't even really, as viewers, get a good grip on where we're going. Like, have we been here before? Have we haven't? Yeah,
that was the point. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're really selling like this, like just lost. We're lost watching it. They're lost. We don't know what's going on. They find the guy that was painting the symbol, Chaz, hiding in a closet. And he keeps saying, like, I'm sorry, we didn't know, it's alive. But he doesn't really elaborate on that because I don't think they really know what's going on. And he sees the skeleton. Oh, also, we've seen it in a little shot before that the plastic skeleton kind of becomes a real-life skeleton. And, like, comes to life and, like, it lifts its head and has, like, one eye and it's looking around. It's so creepy.
It was really creepy.
So Chaz sees that skeleton, like, kind of, like, come up behind Buffy and stab her with, like, a big butcher knife or a kitchen knife. And Buffy can, like, disarm it pretty easily because she's a slayer. She like, punches it, like, kicks it down, and then it turns immediately back into plastic.
Yeah, so weird.
But she does have, like, a stab wound in her back now.
Yeah.
So Buffy's like, okay, enough of this. You guys need to get out and get help. I am going to go upstairs and see if I can, like, help rescue anyone, because obviously there are other people in the house still. And Willow definitely doesn't like that idea. She's like, you just want us to leave and you know, abandon you. And, yeah, she's like, we need help. We need help from someone. The only person that's going to be able to figure this out, this is Giles. So at Giles' Anya shows up. She knew exactly where to go for help. And again, Giles is waiting for the kids to show up so he can give them candy. Again, he is disappointed when it is just one of his group, I guess. And she said, Xander needs help. Xander needs help. He's like, where's everyone else? She's like, oh, they're trapped too, but we need to help Xander. She doesn't care about the rest of them. And she could describe what she saw, and he says it sounds like a summoning spell, temporal flux. So he has to, like, do research, and he starts getting all of his, like, books out. And then he said, I wouldn't worry about Xander. He's with friends. And then we go back to the frat house where Buffy and Willow are arguing. This kind of seemed like this came out of nowhere.
Yep. And Willow's like, you're not the boss.
Just because you're the Slayer, you're not the boss. And I'm not your sidekick. And all this. And Willow wants to do a spell to kind of, like, that will give them a light that will, like, guide them out. Like, it will give that, it's for lost travelers.
Buffy's like, your spells are only about 50-50.
Your basic spells. Yeah, so they're both, like, upset. And Willow is really upset. Buffy's kind of confused. Like, why are we fighting about this?
Yep.
And Willow's like, you know, I'm not your sidekick. And she storms off, and Oz goes after her.
Yeah.
To, like, keep an eye on her. And after that, Buffy's going through her, like, weapons, and Xander's trying to talk to her about, like, okay, like...
And she's just ignoring him.
Yeah, we need to, like, sit together. Like, we can't, like, do we need to fight about this? And, you know, she probably just thinks this because of this. He's trying to, like, keep the peace. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, Buffy's like, Xander, where did you go? And he's like, I'm right here. So Xander has become invisible to everyone. Yep. And I only noticed this on my second watch. But if you remember when before this scene, when they do the hissing part, about it being like sounding like a snake before they open this, Chaz was in the closet. Mm-hmm. Xander keeps saying it's like a hissing sound, and Buffy's like, it's like a hissing sound. He's like, that's what I just said. It's like a snake. She's like, it's kind of like a snake or something. He's like, that's what I just said. So he was already invisible.
I totally missed that. Okay.
I didn't get it. I didn't catch on until my second viewing this time.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So obviously, like, he was already disappeared, and I guess nobody noticed. But yeah, so she's like, oh God, Xander, this is so typical of him, and she storms off. And he's like, what do you mean it's typical of me? And he's trying to follow her because, he's right there.
Yeah.
So Oz and Willow are going through the house, and Willow is kind of ranting about Buffy. And they find the stairs. So they go up the stairs, and they just keep following the hallway. And Oz starts to change. He starts turning into a werewolf. He gets to that, like, halfway point where it's still Seth Green with, like, a furry face. So he knows it's happening, and he really freaks out. Because
he doesn't want to be near Willow.
It's not a full moon.
Oh, yeah.
It shouldn't be happening. Yeah, and Willow's there. He just runs off. And Willow does not want him to do that, but he runs off. We see Xander kind of wandering around on his own. We get a little scene where he sees, like, one of those fake heads come to life, and, like, blood just, like, gushes out of its eyes. He's like, oh, I see you. And it's like, blah. So that's pretty nasty.
That's gross.
We see Oz in a tub, like, kind of, like, chanting to an empty tub, just kind of, like, his head in his hands, just, like, chanting, like, I'm not going to change, or you're not going to change, you're not going to change. Like, he's just trying to, like, not fully wolf out.
Yeah.
We see Willow by herself, and she casts a spell, that spell that she was telling Buffy about, basically to guide them, like, give a light to guide them out of here. And when she does it, one little, like, kind of, like, fairy light pops up. Yeah, and then she's like, no, actually, she's like, actually, no, we should probably find the people upstairs. And then it, like, splits. And then, no, actually, we should do this. And then it splits again. And it just starts multiplying. And it kind of turns into, like, a
bee's nest or bees?
Yeah, like a hive or something. Yeah. Like a swarm. Yeah. That's the word I'm looking for. Like a big swarm, and she, like, can't control it, and it's, like, buzzing around her face, and she starts freaking out. They start going in her mouth. And she just, like, starts running down the hallway, and it starts chasing her. Buffy is wandering around, too, and here's Willow calling for help, and she's trying to, like, get in all these doors. All these doors are locked, and she's trying to find Willow. And she, like, breaks through into one, and she falls down into the basement.
Yeah. Creepy.
And Josh, the guy that broke his neck, is down there, and he's all, like, has his neck all sideways. And he's kind of telling her that, you know, feeding on her fears there, that everyone will leave her.
Yeah, everyone runs from her.
Mm-hmm. So feeding into her, like, problems of this whole episode, like, that they're all going to abandon her, and, like, you know, she puts herself out there and gets hurt. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to be alone here. And, like, all these, like, I said zombies, but yeah, I guess they are, start coming out of the ground. And, like, yeah, like, they start coming out, these bodies, reanimated bodies, and, like, grabbing Buffy.
Because he says, it's okay, though, because you won't be alone, and then they all grab her. That's so creepy.
Yeah. So outside, Giles, I love this part. He's, like, has a book, and he's, like, touching the wall where the door should be. He's like, we have to make a door. And I think Anya says something like, oh, like a spell. And he's like, oh, not quite. And he, like, pulls out a chainsaw and just into the door. Which I love. Because I feel like that's not something, like, Giles would do. Giles is going through a transformation. You know what I mean? He's, like, growing up, even though he's already an adult. So, yeah, Giles just cuts a hole in the house to get in. Makes a literal door. So, back in the basement, Buffy manages to, like, they're all grabbing at her. She manages to get away and, like, goes out of a little door, which is weird because then she ends up in the attic. So from the reality of this place is so messed up because she's in the basement. She goes through a door on the ground floor, on that floor, and ends up in the attic. You know what I mean? So it's like
she just keeps.
She got like, transported kind of up there because it wouldn't make sense to be in the attic from the basement. So she gets there, and everyone else is there. Willow, Oz, and Xander are all there, and they're all normal again.
Yep.
And Xander can see Oz isn't. Xander can be seen. Oz isn't wolfing out, and that spell stuff is not happening anymore. But it led them all up to the attic.
Yeah.
And Buffy kind of figures out that it kind of all led them there. And that
separated them.
Yeah, it separated them, and then
separated them.
They all got led there by their fears to this place. And kind of like to go over their fears, like obviously Buffy's is really obvious that being like abandoned, left alone, and not having anyone. Xander is kind of similar, being left behind and being invisible to his friends because of the whole college thing.
Yep.
Oz obviously like losing control of being his wolfness, and also I think so Willow shares the fear that her magic could hurt her because that's what happened.
Yep.
That she could lose control of her magic.
Yep.
So yeah, Xander's like, oh yeah, they drew this like thing on here, and here's the book the symbol is from. And Willow reads it and says it is actually the mark of Gaknar, and it's a summoning spell. But it only got partially started because some blood got on it. They don't know it was Oz. Oz doesn't know it was him, but Oz's blood is what started the spell. And all of a sudden, they're gonna they keep hearing that release me. They go to run out, and Giles just kicks down a door with a chainsaw.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, Giles, everybody's Giles with a chainsaw.
Well, they're talking about fears are manifesting, and then he busts in with a chainsaw. So I thought that was pretty funny too.
Yeah, it was great. And so he comes in, and he figures out he's okay. Yes, of course, it's the mark of Gaknar. He's reading the book of how to stop the spell before this demon becomes fully whatever. What?
Full manifestation.
Full manifestation. And Buffy's like, well, I can just fight it. And he shows her a picture, and he's pretty gruesome looking and pretty scary.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I don't want to fight him. So Giles is reading out loud the ways to stop the spell, and he's in the middle of a sentence about destroying the symbol, and Buffy just walks over there and punches through the symbol and destroys it. And he's like, is not one of the ways, and will immediately bring the demon forth.
That was so funny.
She's like, oops. He's like, oh, what are you doing? Stop it. Yeah, so bright lights coming from underneath the floor, and it's we see
scary things are happening.
We see this demon coming up from the floor, and everyone's like, oh my god. And then the demon looks up, and he's literally
this big.
Half a foot, if even that. Yeah, 4 inches tall. And they're all shocked and laughing, and he's got his cute little squeaky voice, fear me, I am the Lord of Nightmares, or whatever he says. And they're just okay.
And then there says big overture, little show.
Yeah, he's like, who's a scary fear demon? And Giles says, don't taunt the fear demon. He's like, why can it hurt me? I know, it's tacky.
Yeah.
And Xander was like, oh, is it gonna bite me or something? He actually steps back because he was being such a cocky little shit. Yeah, so Giles says, you still, slaying, you can slay it, it's fine. So Buffy just basically stomps on him like a bug.
He smooshes it.
Smooshes him.
Mm-hmm. After saying size doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
After Giles they're all eating his candy because poor Giles, and they didn't get any trick-or-treaters, it seems.
No.
They do, Xander does bring up to Anya, because Anya's there, that this is your scary costume, huh? She's like, I'm terrified of bunnies. This is actually scary. And then Giles says, oh my gosh, I should have read the inscription underneath the picture of Gaknar. And then he brings it over, and it says actual size.
Yes. That was good. Oh, man.
And that's the end of the episode.
That's it. That was a good episode.
So funny. All right, so my favorite quote was the quote that Buffy said in the beginning about the pumpkin. She said, I was just thinking about the life of a pumpkin. Grow up in the sun, happily entwined with others, and then someone comes along, cuts you open, and rips your guts out.
Okay.
I thought that was so funny.
It's a good line, yep.
Yeah, it is true. I never thought about it like that, so.
Sad.
Yeah, it is sad. And then my favorite scene was little Gaknar, I said, when it's and everyone's just shocked that he is a miniature.
Teeny tiny.
He's a figure, he's a action figure version of the demon. So that was just really funny. And then with Buffy, that last scene up there where Buffy's destroys the symbol, and that was not the right thing to do. Yeah, that was just, this episode was actually pretty creepy, and that was a culmination of it, but it was so funny. The culmination was not scary. It was really funny. So I like that.
Yeah. Yes. My favorite line was, starts with when Buffy and Willow are starting to fight and they're talking about the spell. Willow wants to do a spell, and then Buffy says, your spells are only about 50-50. And Willow says, well, so your face.
So's your face. And Buffy's like, what? What does that even, that doesn't even make sense.
What's that supposed to mean?
That's the worst Willow could come up with in the moment. I feel
so
Willow
funny,
couldn't
though.
really say anything incredibly hurtful.
She was just so passionate when she said it.
Yeah.
And I think I have the same favorite scene as you. That was just so funny. That whole scene was hilarious.
Gaknar, fear me. So, yeah, my stake rating, I gave it a 4.35.
What?
Yeah. Is that low for me?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
What?
I couldn't decide between a 0.3 or 0.4, so I went 0.35.
Okay.
So we already kind of talked about this, but it is like similar to Nightmares.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too similar.
But better? No.
The premise is similar, I feel like. But I loved the haunted house aspect of it. I thought it was really cool, and like it changing and like like the doors and the windows closing up. Oh, we didn't even say that when they turn around when Chaz goes back into the closet disappears as well.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So like doors disappear, windows, like stairs, like it's like super crazy in there, and that was like really cool. There is a whole thing with Anya's like bunny fear, and I just love that we saw the birth of it. Like we saw like the first thing of that with Anya's bunny fear.
Is there more to come?
Yes. So this is the first time we get. I know it's weird. It's a weird Buffy thing. So it's just funny, like because I know like where it goes.
Okay. Sure.
I don't really have a lot more to say about it except for that I thought their fears that the Gaknar was feeding off of were really good. Like well done. Like where Nightmares was like very much kind of like more like topical nightmares, like things that we're scared of. These were like very deep seated.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of them were in Nightmares, but I think these were like more. It's like I said, they've grown up a lot since then, and their fears are a little bit more serious. Yeah. So.
Okay, well, I gave it a 4.8.
Yay!
I really like this episode.
I'm glad.
So funny. And yeah, like you said, I liked the fears too. Like, and I liked all the little pep talks that Buffy got. Like, I know it's going to take her a while to get over this, past this, whatever. But hopefully, like, you know, she still keeps getting the support she gets. She'll be able to brush it off. Yeah, and just like seeing Giles morph into this new person, kind of. I like that.
He's relaxing.
Yeah, exactly. I really am enjoying that a lot, actually, watching his transformation. I'm still not sure how I feel about Anya.
Okay.
I have mixed feelings. I have like pros and cons about her. So I guess I'll just wait and see what happens with her. Yeah. And then, yeah, the fears were good. Xander feeling invisible. Oz is always just so. The other thing with Oz is always so calm and level-headed and even. And when he started freaking out, it's just so unlike him. So to watch that too is just kind of like, oh, that's his fear too, probably.
Yeah, like that's
lose
how
control emotionally, not just like wolfing.
Yeah, and he is like you said, like nothing really seems to upset him. Even the apocalypse, he was like, it's fine. That really, you saw how physically afraid he was.
Dude must meditate like an hour a day.
He must. And the thing with Anya, I was going to say, Anya was one in my, for 15 years, Anya was one of like my top 5 hated characters in the show. I hated her.
Really?
And over the years, she's really grown on me.
Okay.
So we'll see what you think.
How I feel about it. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't like how she talked to Xander. Like, I know she feels insecure, and that makes you kind of mean sometimes. But like, I don't know, when she was saying, "Oh, your friends are in university and you're not, and they don't live at home and you do," I was just like, "That's mean."
Anya has lost a lot of like human social cues and like rules. She has no filter. So while that's something that everybody's thinking and he's experiencing, but obviously she just says it like
she's the only one to say
extremely bluntly, very bluntly, and like not nicely, but she just doesn't have the filter. She doesn't have like know how to like say things in a nice way,
or like how to be in a relationship. She's so weird and awkward.
She is. Yeah.
But the funny thing about it is it's just an exaggeration of how a lot of women actually are when we feel insecure in relationships.
Mm-hmm. She is just like the veneer of anything is off with her. Yeah. Like she is like pure, like say what I feel and what all that. She doesn't have the ability to do it any other way, which makes her interesting. I think she's an interesting character, even though I found her incredibly annoying for over a decade.
Very annoying. Yes, I'm still in that annoying phase.
She grew on me over the years, but it took like how many watches?
And see, I don't know if I'll rewatch it. I don't think I've ever rewatched a show, to be honest with you.
Yeah, No, but Anya is, people love Anya because she is like very interesting in that way. And she says a lot of funny things. So I just wonder, what your
we'll see.
First run through impressions will be, first watch through impressions. So okay, so next week your episode is called Beer Bad.
Okay.
Now, this is regarded as one of the worst Buffy episodes.
Oh God. Okay, at least you're setting my expectations low. I appreciate that.
Yeah. This is like usually in the top 5 of like top 3 probably of like the worst Buffy episodes.
Okay.
I don't really remember if I feel I need to like I don't really watch it that often, so I need to rewatch it and be like, is for me personally, is it as bad as like the whole reputation around it? I need to rewatch it and like think about it. But
okay.
Buffy drinks some tainted beer. Buffy like takes her kind of like sadness. She's drinking because she's like upset, right? And the beer turns her into something. That's the question. What does she get turned into?
The very first thing that popped in my mind, which is most definitely not the correct answer, was an ogre. I don't know why I thought that, but I don't think that's it though. Turns her into something. Well, I don't think it's a vampire. I don't think it's Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell.
I don't know.
I love how you didn't even say fairy. You said Tinkerbell.
Hopping in
Very specific fairy.
I don't know. Do I get any hints?
I'm trying to think of one that wouldn't like just totally give it away.
Is it like a living thing, or is it like an inanimate object?
No, it's a living thing.
Okay.
She's still like a human being.
Okay. Oh, still a human being, so not an ogre.
No.
Oh, okay. So like a human being that turns into something? Huh.
Yeah, kind of.
Like a movie star?
Or okay, maybe I'll say it this way. Yeah, like it affects her in some way.
Okay.
Like that is like more along the lines, the movie star thing.
Okay.
That's not it, but
okay, turns her into something. A doctor?
Okay.
Weird. Okay, I don't know.
Okay. We'll go with Doctor. Dr. Summers?
Okay.
We shall see.
Okay.
So that wraps up season 4, episode 4, Fear Itself. Again, you can find us on all major podcast apps and YouTube and Instagram at One Girl in All the World Pod. You can find us. You can also email us at onegirlpod@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week with season 4, episode 5, Beer Bad. See you real soon.
Bye.